Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I hope you guys all had a great weekend and you are ready to dig into a double episode. Today we've got two versions of the song Feelings, and I am really excited that we have two versions of this song. It's pretty awesome. This is the first time we've hit this on the Conquest album, and I'll explain all that shortly. But first, have you guys checked out the new BMG box set coming out September 21st? It is pretty damn amazing. The Everyday Rocks box set, all of the first 7 albums of Uriah Heep in picture disc form. Stunning, stunning picture disc. And a t-shirt from each album. So you get 7 shirts, 7 picture discs. You get inspirational quotes from the albums, and you get a calendar. So you can schedule all of your Uriah Heep listening and podcast listening for the Uriah Heep Magicians Podcast. It's going to be great. So there is a link in the show notes where you can check it out and you can put in your pre-order. I don't know how many are being made, but I would get a hold of yours quickly because this is really such an amazing package. I've never really seen anything like this before. I love the idea of it, and I'm excited to get mine. I cannot wait. So check that out. Now, it is Monday. And as you know, on Monday, we thank some people that are really important to the show. And first and foremost, I'm going to start with our patrons. From the $5 Easy Living tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Brad D. And at the $3 The Wizard tier, we have Peter Voss, Goran Eriksson, Frank Thielgaard Mortensen, and William Rose. And then at the $1 Traveler in Time tier, the Fort Knox of Cemeteries Airtight Gravesite. Thank you all very much for your contributions to the show. It really means a lot to me that you keep that going, that you wanted to do it in the first place. And if you want to join the Patreon, just go down to scotthaskin.com, click on the Uriah Heep podcast link, go all the way down to the bottom, and there it is. And if you want, you can also donate by PayPal if you just want to do like a one-time donation. I think there is a way to actually do like a, an ongoing thing through PayPal, but I've never done it. So I'm not sure. I don't want to mislead anybody, but there is a possibility of that. Thank you all very much. It really means a great deal to me. And of course, I want to thank my host. My hosting website is Podbean. They are fantastic about getting all the episodes that I upload out to all of the places that it gets distributed to: iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, all the places that you can hear the show. And they provide the player that you see on my website. So if you go to scotthaskin.com, click the Uriah Heep podcast, there is a player that plays, I think it's the most recent 20 episodes. And then if you go to the individual album pages and then click on any of the songs, for anything that has aired so far, there is a song player for that song. And so lots of cool stuff that they provide. They really are a fantastic service. And just so the patrons know, your contributions pay for that service. So thank you all very much. Also, of course, my graphic artist, Scott Lazinski, such an amazing guy and such a fantastic graphic artist. We've known each other since, the end of 10th grade, I think. When I moved to Colorado, he was one of the first people that I met and got to know. Really great guy. So I've known him for 2 or 3 years. And he did the logos for the show. My friends at Audionamics, you guys are absolutely amazing. I will not do a podcast without you. And that includes like any of the stuff that I do on YouTube these days, by the way. Also, I use the Instant Dialogue Cleaner on that as well. And it's just such an amazing tool. It shaves hours off of my podcasting effort, which is pretty amazing. And last but not least, my dear friend Dave White, musician extraordinaire on his own, but he is also the Uriah Heep director of social media. He keeps the website going. He's the one that takes care of Facebook and Twitter, all the posts there. Occasionally one of the members of Uriah Heep will chime in, but he does the bulk of all of that, and he does a great job. So thank you, Dave, also for sharing all the episodes of the Magicians podcast. Does a great job at that. So thank you very much as well. Now, certainly very important to me, my brothers in the Deep Dive Podcast Network. Still don't have any female podcasters out there in the deep dive music world that have connected with us, but you never know what'll happen down the road. But for now, we have some wonderful shows. We have Nate and John over at the Deep Purple Podcast, The Simple Man at Skinner Reconsidered. We have Terry T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cuts on the other side. We have Rye at Sabbath Bloody Podcast, which is not just about Black Sabbath, by the way. That has gone deep into the waters of the life of Ozzy Osbourne as well. Really cool stuff. And, obviously a very important couple of Uriah Heep crossovers there. And next we have Paul, Joe, and David at In the Lap of the Pods. We have Andy and Matt at Hawk Binge and Eric and Jonathan at Maiden A to Z Pod, covering all of the Iron Maiden songs. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my good friend Brandon over at Metallicast, my favorite Metallica podcast and the only one I listen to. I actually don't have time to listen to as many of these podcasts as I would like to. And the growing network that we have here makes it even more challenging, but they're all great shows. I've checked them all out, multiple episodes. I'm really honored to be a part of the network and just a part of everyone that's in it. It's a great, great group of people. And we have also my friend Allegra over at gottahearemall.com, which covers a lot more than just the live touring life of Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Deep Purple. There's all kinds of amazing tidbits, information, well-researched articles that she writes. She does a fantastic job. So go check out her site. And last but never least, Ace, the manager of Uriah Heep, Thin Lizzy, and several other bands. Did I say Lindsay? Thin Lizzy and many other bands. He has his own show on Stitcher called Ace on Music. It's also found on YouTube. Great insights into the music industry. Really keep an eye on this because, he talks about what could happen as the world starts to open up and bands start going back on tour and all kinds of things. So great education, some interesting stories along the way too. So definitely check out his show as well. Now, let's talk about what's going on today because we have some cool stuff happening. This song, Feelings, I know well because this was on that anthology that I got in that time where I wasn't really digging into all the bands I knew. I was just kind of catching up with them a little bit and getting best ofs and anthologies and that. And this was a double EP, a double LP anthology. And I'm going to put the picture, if I remember, I'll put the picture up in the show notes because I finally found the artwork for it. So I know which one it was now. And if I forget, somebody just remind me, like shoot me an email at Scott or at Uriah Heep Podcast at gmail.com and remind me that I didn't post the picture and I will get that up there. But this song has a couple of different versions, which is great. We're going to listen to the traditional album version first from the album Conquest, and that featured John Sloman on vocals. There is also an edited version that has slightly different lyrics that we will not be listening to today, but that is out there. And then from the 5 Miles High sessions, which were basically the sessions for Conquest, but with the previous band. And so we've got John Lawton singing vocals on this song, Feelings. I don't know for sure who the drummer was on it. I'm going to guess it's probably Lee Kerslake, but I don't have any information on that. I don't want to say that for sure, but I'm going to guess because it was the previous band recording. As far as I know, John Lawton left before the new drummer, Chris Slade, came in. So I'm going to say it's probably Lee Kerslake on the 5 Miles songs, but I don't have an official word on that. This is what I know. And apparently that also came out on the compilation, A Time of Revelation in 1996. And the lyrics are different in the different versions as well. So really cool stuff. Really excited that we're not quite done with John Lawton. That, I know that the quality is not 100% because these were never final mixes and masters and ready to be released. but it's cool to have the demo versions of them. And, we've heard some rough demo versions on this show. We're strong enough to get through that, I think. I definitely think. So let's listen to the official release, John Sloman album version. Here is Feelings by Uriah Heep from Conquest. Well, I'm loving this already. And this is a song I'm pretty familiar with, like I said, because I knew it from the anthology. But I love the sound of the guitars. It's really powerful. I'm hearing two guitars there, and then a third guitar playing a little bit lower, just kind of keeping the the sound area filled up. And it sounds really good. Bass is really nice. The drums are nice and solid, not anything too crazy. As I've learned, Chris Slade likes to play some pretty ambiguous fills, and he's playing really well with the song right now. So far, some really good stuff. Now, as far as the crowd noise goes in, I'm going to guess that was a little bit of studio trickery, because it doesn't sound like the song is live. It sounds like it was recorded in the studio. There's no indication that the song was live. I'm not sure why decision was made. It's a little bit weird, but in any case, here we are with with the crowd sound in there. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking another song that starts with the group singing the chorus of the song. Yes, but you know what? It really works on this song, I think. More so than some of the others. I think it's really powerful. The sound of these guys singing together is just absolutely perfect. And there's a really nice extra vocal line in the background. If you can hear it, it's just doing like some ahs and stuff. But it really adds another layer to it, and it sounds really good. I like it. I like the contrast. I like the fact that we're hearing a couple of different vocal lines at the same time. Sounds very powerful. We're also getting a little keyboard in there, and some really nice guitar evolution through this section. So lots of cool stuff. Everything sounds really good. I love the sound of the guitar, especially. I think it's a pretty good mix. Everything seems to be pretty much in balance. I always say I could use a little bit more kick drum if it's going to be a punchy kick, but that's me. I'm going to say that even if it's punching you right in the face. Actually, I wouldn't say it if it was doing that. I would tell it to stop. It's interesting. The more that I get to hear John Sloman's voice, the more I'm kind of pinpointing what it is about it. It's almost like he's always singing with some amount of vibrato, even if you don't hear it. It feels like he's just physically moving and it's morphing his voice a little bit. It's so interesting to listen to, but he sounds really good. He's very dynamic as a singer. Got a lot of charisma in his voice too, I would say, but definitely sounds good. And Chris Slade, our new drummer, he is really adventurous on the drums. He's very fill oriented, but he can play a good solid beat as well. Really nice snare and tom work from this guy. Really like his stuff. And I could definitely see why the band picked both of these guys. But I love the guitar work on this song. You know, this album is really starting to feel like they're getting back to rock and roll a little bit more, and you know, with more guitar oriented riffs, which is pretty typical in a rock and roll band, even with a keyboard player. But I feel like the guitars are starting to take a little more of the front position, you know, a little more of what you would expect, and they sound fantastic. So why wouldn't you do that? But there's also a nice keyboard in the back, kind of thickening everything up. And overall, yeah, it sounds really good. You know, there's some great vocal ad-libbing in there. Some of it feels like it's a little bit off from the backing vocals, but that's okay because he's really kind of singing over them, and they're just kind of like, you know, the angels in the room singing his story while he's out front telling it. And it's really interesting whenever you hear that, because it's usually at the end of a song and sometimes earlier in the song, but this is one of those rare cases where it is earlier in the song. And I like that. I like that they're not saving that for the end. It gives this part of it a little bit of magic. It makes it unique every time that you hear the chorus, if that's what they're going to continue to do. Instead of just, okay, here's the chorus, this is how it goes, we know it, sing along, do whatever you're going to do. So I like having some different dynamics. I like having some things change, because musically the band isn't doing a lot of that right now. They're pretty much repeating their parts when it comes to, okay, here's how we play the verse, here's how we play the chorus. And it's really nice to have a little bit more dynamic control over the song. So I'm a big fan of it. So you can hear there, you know, in that part where there's a lot of drum fills, just how active Chris Slade is. We've heard that in some other work already, where he's just playing some quick fills in between and really kind of filling up the holes in the sound. And it sounds really good. I like it. I really like what I'm hearing here. I love the guitar sound. It's really strong. It's a good song. I really love this. I love that they're moving up to a higher register. It adds a little bit more flavor to it. But listen to the vocals that are going on in the background too. They're very simple, but they really fill out the song. And sometimes it's those one or two subtle things that you do that can make a really big difference in the overall sound of the song and the way it makes you feel. It definitely fills it up in a way that none of the instruments are doing right now. So it's really nice to have it in the background. Now, maybe it's that they're singing in a little bit higher of a register now, but it feels a little more impassioned at this point, doesn't it? Like, you weren't hearing me on this level, so now I'm going to sing to you on this level, and maybe you'll hear me now. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this, but it sounds so good. I really like it. Very, very emotional, even though it's just a group of people singing the same thing together. It really has an emotion in it for me. I really feel something there. What a powerful ending. I like that. I love that synth at the end. I love the way that the music just came together for the conclusion. Love that effect that they put on the crowd at the end. That was really nice. It's kind of unexpected because you're just getting so used to hearing the repeating chorus that you don't really expect it to abruptly end. What you're kind of waiting for really is a fade out at some point, and you figure, well, they've been going for a while, so it's probably going to be a long fade out. And you're kind of buckling in for that. But then they switch it up and they just end it. And they put that really nice synthesizer in there to round things out for the song. And it's really unexpected because I didn't hear that synth anywhere else in the song. So usually when you hear something in the end, it's a throwback to something in the beginning or something in the middle. And maybe I just missed it, but I didn't hear that synth anywhere. So that was a nice little surprise, just completely out of the blue. But it has a really warm sound to it, which I like. And synthesizers can sometimes be tough to do that because they're digital and they're cold and antiseptic at times. So that was nice how warm that sounded. But I really like the end. And I gotta go back and play one thing for you guys if I can find it, because it was a nice little vocal addition that almost was something that was just above imperceptible. So try listening to what John Sloman says after the band says feelings. It's kind of faint. It's a little bit in the background, but it's really cool. Now, just in case you missed it, because it might be hard to hear depending on your listening device, I'm going to play it for you one more time. You almost feel it more than you hear it. And that's kind of ironic because the song is called Feelings, but it's just one of those moments that you capture and it's just kind of magic. At least for me, that part really stood out. I love the sound of it. And I love that he didn't do it again, at least not that I heard. It's one of those things that, hey, that was that moment. And I'm not going to try and do it again. I'm not going to try and replicate it in another part of the song and make it a repeated thing. It is just the magic that it is at that time. I'm a big fan of that. So that is the studio version that came out on the Conquest album. And now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the 5 Miles High or 10 Miles High, depending on which version you've heard it's called. And this is it's different, guys. It's a completely different song, really. But you'll recognize it, but you also won't at the same time. So here is, again, Feelings. So if I just put that song on and I didn't know where it came from, I would think it was mislabeled. It's a completely different song. There's no way that's Feelings. And we're in for an abrupt change here real quick. I like the sound of it, though. I really love the guitars on it. I think they sound fantastic. I think I'm interested to see, well, I mean, I already know, but I would be interested to see where this song was going just based on that intro and not connecting it with the official Conquest version of Feelings. I would be like, This is interesting. This is intriguing. It almost feels a little soundtracky in a way. Maybe something, I don't know why, but it has a Western feel to it. Not like the spaghetti Western, the cheesy one, but it just has like that Western people are getting ready to go into a duel kind of feel. Don't know why. I have no clue where that's coming from. There is nothing Western in the music, but for some reason, that's the visual that's coming to my mind. If anybody can tell me why I'm being insane today, I would love to hear it. So please let me know. Okay, so before we get into the vocal section of this version of the song, let's talk about what we've heard so far. The chorus itself, vocally is the same. It's sung in a little bit lower key than what we heard on the last one to start the song, but it sounds pretty good. It's different, but I think it sounds pretty good. And then I love the acoustic strumming. I'm a big fan of that, especially with this band. They do it so well. And it just flows really nicely behind the vocal. So completely different version, but you can kind of see how the end version took shape because there are some similarities in here. It's I can't say I like one better than the other because I haven't heard this version enough, or maybe, it's because it's not the first version I heard and I don't like it quite as much. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but I just did. But it definitely is different. That's the most important thing, is that they are individual versions of each other. Okay, so there is a little bit of a dip in the audio. I'm going to try and compensate for that as much as I can when I go to finalize the episode. But I like this. It has a different feel. I mean, it really feels like a completely different song during this verse. But I like that kind of rhythm of it. Da 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 da. That feels good. It definitely feels like something that fit the John Lawton time in the band. And I love the guitars on this. I think they're very strong. I think that you can kind of see the shape of the final version coming together here because there are some musical similarities. But yeah, it's cool. I dig it. It's kind of an awkward transition into the chorus, though, isn't it? It changes tempo, but there's really no build-up for it. It's just all of a sudden you're at a different tempo. You almost feel like these pieces were recorded for a separate song, and then they were just put into this song. Like, hey, we're gonna cut the tape, we're gonna open a space, we're gonna splice this in. It just has a completely different feel to it. And I like it. It's cool, but the first couple times you hear it, it kind of, makes you go, wait a minute, what did I just hear? Because it's not the kind of transition we're used to hearing from Heep. They're masters of moving from one thing into something completely different and doing it seamlessly. But this one, and again, this is not the final song. So let's keep in mind that this is really basically a rough demo version of the song that they were working on. So I'm not going to judge it that way. I'll just say that for, the song I'm listening to, which is the only thing I can really comment on, is in this particular case, it does feel like a bit of an abrupt transition each time. I think Trevor Boulder's playing some really nice stuff on bass here, and it's really making the song feel, musically well-rounded to me because he's just going up and down in the register, and it adds so much. It's not like he's playing anything particularly difficult, but what he's playing, the notes that he's choosing to play, just really bring about a depth in the song that I don't think it would have had otherwise. So definitely kudos to him. I love the off-the-cuff vocals from John Lawton here. Definitely feels different than what John Sloman's doing, but the principle of it is the same. Here's what I'm feeling in the moment. But remember, these are different lyrics. It's a different story. It's a different song. And it's a different singer. But I like what both of them do here during this part. And it's nice to see kind of the basic song structure is fairly the same. And they just made some modifications when they transitioned it to the final version. But it still has a good amount of emotion. I don't think it has all of the emotion, and that might be just because it's not, mixed in process for, finalizing for the album. It's a demo version, so, they've obviously written the song, and they're pretty into where it's at. They seem to all feel pretty comfortable with it. So it's not like it's a, hey, we just threw the song together, let's record it before we get it. I mean, this is a solid song. So keeping in mind that the mix is not 100%, I think that it does have some emotion for me, but I don't think it has as much as it would if it were the final polished thing. So that's complete speculation, but just based on what I'm hearing and my mind. Yeah, kind of a quick fade there. I feel like it could have been a little bit longer, especially because, John Lawton's just kind of riffing there. But yeah, it sounds good. I like it as an acoustic guitar version. I think I like it better as the electric guitar version. But again, I have to take into account I heard that first. That's a final version. This is an unpolished version. But I think if they would have recorded it that way, I think I probably would have liked the song just as much. And I certainly think that, John brought his typical energy to the song. And I'm going to say that was Lee Kerslake on drums. It had to be. He plays completely different from Chris Slade. So I'm going to go with the fact that was Lee for the demo version. And it made sense because, like I said, Lee left before John Lawton. So it has to be him on the 5 Miles songs. So what a way to start our Monday, right? With a dual singer version of the song, and we've got more coming. Stay tuned tomorrow for more of the same because we've got Fools tomorrow, and I have another version of Fools as well that I'm very excited to dig into. I love the mood of that song too, by the way. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I know I haven't gotten into the album cover art. I haven't even talked about that, and here we are a couple of shows in already. Lazy me, I know. So we've got a long episode today. I'm going to save that for tomorrow's show. You guys have a great Monday. Let's get your week started off right if we haven't already. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!